So
Anyway,
Richard,
by the way, let me go on record. I was just joking. Steve is an excellent sound editor, and I used to have him cut
no,
the
no, I no, you were right.
opening reels of a lot of films that I did
That's
supervise.
right.
Steve would cut the opening reel, which is one of the most important reels. Usually the opening reel and the last reel are the most important reels because that's where you establish the movie.
Yeah.
And at the end, you have the big wrap them all up sort of thing.
Yeah, the world explodes in the last reel.
The world explodes, right? Exactly. I guess
Well,
the exception to that rule would be Raiders of the Lost Ark, where I believe the last reel was just after everything happens. That's back in San Francisco, and he's like saying goodbye to Marion.
Yeah.
And then they have the little thing about the box Ark in the box being put in the thing. So
that's
it was
right.
like sort of a
spoiler alert.
Last reel, right?
I told you that I figured out well after the fact that it was my theory that you always gave me reel one of your movies because it gave you an extra week to pull the rest of the show. Because I knew the library so well that I could just, I mean, you hand me the reel, you didn't pull anything. You would just say, here you go, have at it.
Probably, yes.
It happened a lot.
Right.
It was like, Brother Bear was particularly busy because it had that avalanche in the beginning. And flushed away, the character gets flushed down the toilet in the reel one. And there are a lot of really busy reel ones that you get.
Like I said, reel one is usually very busy reel, and then reel two kind of usually generally slows down a little because now we've had the big opening to grab everybody's attention, and then reel two is the sort of like, now let's establish the characters and the situation.
Let's deal with what just happened. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
One of my regrets is that I never recorded a machine room in like stereo.
Jim Christopher says he did. He says that he has one of them. Yeah, we should call him up.
Because it's one of those
it's
funny
a glorious
things
sound.
Where, yes, especially when like you do the high-speed rewind and it would go and it would sound like it's going to explode or something.
What he's describing, ladies and gentlemen, is the room, the machine room, where all of the units of sound, all of these guys, were all on dubbers, on machines, like one reel each, and you'd have dozens of them all moving back and forth in sync to the picture that we're watching on the dub stage. And when you were just standing in the machine room, you didn't necessarily hear what we were doing. I mean, sometimes they had little monitors where you could hear tracks and things like that if you wanted to make sure something was working. But they would all start and stop together, and these motors had these wonderful kind of sound when they would all start moving at the same time or stopping at the same time or rewinding or that was great.
Yeah,
we should try to.
It was a great sound, and it's like so many things we sort of assumed it would always be there.
Yeah,
and
it's archaic technology now. Yeah,
suddenly everything became digital, and these machines are all gone now. I don't know what happened to them all. But they're probably in scrap heaps.
There are a few around. I would love to get a couple for the museum. I'm sure there's somewhere.
I mean, there are probably some because obviously that people needed some of them, like in case they have to transfer old stuff from an old movie that is only on magnetic film. So there's still some that, but you no longer need a whole room full of them playing back tracks, because if you're using Pro Tools or similar software, you have virtual tracks.
That's what really amazes me.
But anyway, for people that have never done this old-fashioned process with magnetic film, and prior
I guess
to that,
old people have.
Right. Prior to that, it was optical film.
Yeah.
But the point is that you have to imagine each track that you see on your Pro Tools, or sometimes it'd be sets of tracks. We might have 3 or 4 tracks on one piece of full coat film. But the point is, generally each track on your Pro Tools would be a separate machine that would have a reel of sound being fed, and then a take-up reel, and it would go back and forth in sync.
Mm-hmm. And it was just so fun to hear all those machines going back and forth. And now it's like, as you say, it's all digital. You can literally have a zip drive in your pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't even. The thing it's right. And then we used to, people ask me a lot of times, oh, how do you get started in this business? And I used to usually say, I have no idea, because when I got started, we needed armies of assistants.
Yeah, to
And
carry all the
apprentices.
reels back and forth and load up the units and
Right. You the lowest level in the editorial unit thing was called an apprentice,
yeah.
and that you could get in as an apprentice, and they assumed you didn't know anything. They would just train you. You know, I mean, people could get in and know something, but anyway, apprentice, and then you became an assistant, and then you became an editor, a sound editor, a music editor, a picture editor, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but we needed a whole bunch of assistants and apprentices just to, like, as you said, if after you finish cutting a reel, you might have on a big sound movie, you might have 100 tracks on a giant reel, maybe
Easily.
even an average reel, you'd probably have at least 10 tracks or so. And so you had to put these tracks all on reels in a box and carry them from wherever the sound editorial was being done to wherever it was being mixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if you're on the same lot, like say you were on MGM lot cutting and the mixing stage was at somewhere on the MGM lot, you still had to carry the stuff from the editing room or assistant's room where they finished building the track to the editor's description to the actual place where they mixed. Now, like you said, you could just send it online.
Yeah. You send it online or
I can be cutting in a reel in Spearfish, North Dakota, and send my tracks to Hollywood or London or
even before the internet, we were just, it would be one
China
drive.
Film Group in Huairou.
You send one drive with a courier to the stage and that's it, you're done. And changes.
Yeah, that was the intermediate was we had hard drives that were removable, and you could send those and you could have your whole reel or a couple reels even on one drive.
Yeah.
But now you don't even need to send that physical thing. You can just
upload it.
Send it electronic.
We've talked about Star Trek: The Motion Picture before, but that show was so chaotic toward the end because they were rushing it out, and you were literally dubbing like just before the premiere. And there's so many stories of just,
we didn't even, I don't even know if we had a premiere. I don't think we had a premiere.
I thought there was something in like Washington or something like that, but that's after
maybe,
the fact.
I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, the point is the film was supposed to open in 800 theaters on December 7th, 1979.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, in those, that was the day when everything was projected off a 35 millimeter film, though they made some 70 millimeters on that show too. But what they did was, I'm told, is that we, depending on where the visual effects came in, if we got all the visual effects for a reel, we would dub that reel and finalize it, and then make the Dolby print master of that reel. Normally you make dub the whole movie and then you play it back and make corrections and but we didn't have time, and then make your print master. But if we could finish a reel, a double reel, like what we used to call AB reel.
AB reels, yeah, which means nothing in the digital.
What would have been one of those bigger 2,000-foot reels? That's what they shipped films to theaters in those days on.
Sure.
So if we could get an AB reel, a 2,000-foot reel, we would final dub to those two reels. We did them in 10-minute reels, and then we'd splice them together.
Yeah.
And then they would make the print master, and then they would from that they made the optical negative, the Dolby negative. So then MGM, which did the printing on that show, went and printed 800 reels, 800 copies of, say it was reel 4AB. It would make 800 copies of 4AB, and I'm told that there was like big room somewhere, and they had had 800 sets of shipping cases for the film.
There's a very famous
4AB,
picture.
They would put the reel in 4AB in each set.
There was a very famous picture of a soundstage. Jeffrey Katzenberg rented a stage on the lot just to store these reels. And there's a picture of all of them before they were shipped.
I would love to see that. If you find that, let's send it to me.
It's in the documentary, I think, but it looks like a bunch of tombstones is what it looks like. Right. All of these film cans.
I'll do a preview for you of Randy Tom. Randy Tom years later said, we were talking about digital and all these plugins and things like, he said, the thing I use the most is I slow something down or speed it up.
Yep. That's
He
true.
told sound design wise, he said it's the thing I use the most, and I still find that that's a great thing to do. You know, you
Sure.
take an animal, you slow it down, and it becomes a dinosaur.
Actually, the on top of that, the thing that's most, if I had to like say a plug-in or a electronic thing that has been helpful, it would be the same, but also adjusting the pitch. So if you slow something down but keep it the same pitch that it was originally, that's very handy. And that's something from the new digital age that's very easy to do. But yeah, aside from that, that's all I really need. And I'm looking forward to talking to Randy next week about that, because yeah, we have very similar
when
beliefs
we were
about
dubbing over that, he said that when we were dubbing Over the Hedge up at Lucasfilm.
That's right, which I cut effects
at the
for
ranch,
you,
which Randy did that movie.
Yeah, and I cut reel one on that too.
He was the mixer on the movie. I was did it.
That was a fun film.
Could be.
My favorite recording, sound effects recording bit on that show was
the vending machine. The RJ
fun.
the raccoon is trying to get in the vending machine.
That was
again,
fun.
we went out and recorded vending machines of different sorts, and also in the internal structure of it and things.
Yeah. Sticking a mic inside it and all kinds of different things. But my favorite was dumping the potato chips, having falling potato chips. That was quite a session, and a very messy session, to get the right sound of falling potato chips for the bear, I guess, the junk food eating bear. It's so silly. But it was a good show.
We have a picture of that.
That's right. It's me and Ken Johnson. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.